According to the World Health Organization, close to 18 million people each year die of heart disease. In this video, I'll explain the number one cause of heart disease and 3 practical lifestyle techniques to lower your risk of heart attack. My name is Sanat and I am on a mission to reduce heart attacks by revealing the science behind the cause of heart disease. My motivation to reduce my risk of heart disease comes from personal pain. My father passed away when he was 47 due to a sudden heart attack. I was only 19 years of age. From that day, my journey to uncover the cause of heart disease started. I'm here to share the research and data I find, as well as practical ways that I'm personally using to make myself heart attack proof. So make sure you watch all the way till the end. Now, the number one cause of heart disease is insulin resistance. Chances are that you may have never heard about insulin resistance. So what really is insulin resistance? To know insulin resistance, we need to know insulin first. Insulin is a growth hormone that's absolutely essential in our body. One of its roles is to regulate our blood sugar levels. When we eat food that increases blood glucose, insulin is released from the pancreas, which then acts like a key that opens the door for glucose to enter into the cells. Now, cells use glucose for energy and extra is stored as fat. Now, when our insulin levels remain consistently high due to high sugar and carb diet, we become insulin resistant. In other words, insulin can no longer open the door for blood sugar to arrive into the cells. So how does insulin resistance cause heart disease? There are 4 ways in which this happens. Number 1, insulin increases the levels of aldosterone. Aldosterone is a hormone that's produced by adrenal glands, which are located right above your kidneys. Aldosterone helps regulate the balance of salt and water in the body. Now, in the insulin resistant state, excess aldosterone signals the body to retain more sodium, and where sodium goes, water goes. So this increase in water raises the blood volume and hence blood pressure. Number 2, high insulin levels make blood vessels thicker. Now, the innermost layer of our blood vessels is called the endothelium. Now, because insulin is a growth hormone, it signals cells to grow bigger. When there is excess insulin, the signal is stronger and it leads to excess growth of the endothelium, which thickens and narrows the pathway for the blood to flow. Now imagine if a garden hose which you use to water plants becomes narrow, but the volume of water remains the same. The pressure of water will naturally increase. The same thing is happening with your blood vessels. Narrow vessels result in high blood pressure. There is reduced space in your arteries, and when they're more likely to get clogged, which could result in a heart attack. Number 3, blood vessels can't dilate due to high insulin levels. Now, let's look at the garden hose analogy again. If we make the hose larger, the water will flow slowly with less pressure. Our endothelium produces nitric oxide, which helps the muscles around the blood vessels to relax and help increase their size. This helps lower blood pressure naturally. However, in the insulin resistant state, insulin is less able to signal the endothelium to produce nitric oxide. Hence, our blood vessels cannot relax and blood pressure stays elevated. Number 4, high insulin level causes unhealthy changes in lipids. We've all heard about LDL being bad cholesterol, but what most people don't know is that LDL is of 2 types. LDL pattern A, which is large and buoyant just like a beach ball, and LDL pattern B is small and dense like a golf ball. When you drop a beach ball and a golf ball in water, the large buoyant beach ball will float while the small dense golf ball will drop to the bottom. This is exactly what's happening in our blood vessels as well. The large LDL particles simply float along and interact less with the blood vessels than the small dense LDL. The small dense LDL pattern B drops its fats and cholesterol when it bumps into the blood vessel wall. There it oxidizes and starts plaque formation. As insulin level climbs, the liver produces more LDL pattern B. In this research study conducted by the Stanford School of Medicine, it shows that as the levels of insulin climb, the LDL pattern shifts towards small dense pattern B as shown in the graph below. Now, how to improve insulin sensitivity and lower your risk of heart disease? Lowering your risk of heart disease needs a lifestyle change that is sustainable. Just knowing what foods to eat and what to avoid is not going to work if you don't have the right process. I'm going to give you 3 eating techniques that are sustainable in the long term. No fad diets. I'll share some basics that we need to get right. Number 1, avoid sugar and refined carbs, especially for breakfast. This graph below will make it clear how fats, protein, and carbs affect insulin. Fats have absolutely zero effect of insulin, protein has minimal effect, and carbs have a much bigger effect on insulin levels. Now, breakfast is the most powerful meal of the day. Why? Due to our body's natural rhythms, also known as circadian rhythms, our insulin levels are naturally high when we wake up. One study found that when people were given the same amount of glucose in morning, afternoon, and evening, the insulin levels were highest in the morning. This means we need more insulin to lower our blood glucose when we eat a piece of toast in the morning than in the evening. Now, foods to avoid for breakfast are bread, fruit juice, flour-based products like pancakes, cereals, white rice, roti, as they're simply devoid of fiber and rapidly spike blood glucose. Instead, eat high-protein, high-fiber foods like sprouted lentils, beans, tofu, tempeh, low-sugar fruits like apples, oranges, watermelons. For good fats, add some almond butter, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, other nuts and seeds. Avocado is a fantastic option for good fats. Avocado toast is not. Number 2, change the order in which you eat your meals. Follow a simple route of eating your salad first, followed by protein and carbs at the end. Now, according to this research study, a group of people with pre-diabetes consumed the exact same meal in random order during 3 days. On day 1, they ate carbs first, followed by protein and veggies. Day 2, they ate protein, veggies, and carbs. And day 3, they ate veggies, protein, and then carbs. When they measured the glucose levels after each meal, they found that on day 3, when veggies were eaten first, followed by protein and carbs, the blood glucose levels were more than 40% lower on day 1 when carbs were eaten first. Number 3, eat all your meals before sunset. I remember my grandma used to say, don't eat anything after sunset. The latest research shows that my grandma was right. Eating before sunset, also known as early time restricted feeding, has been shown to improve insulin resistance, blood pressure, and oxidative stress. You simply eat in a time window of 6 to 8 hours, preferably earlier in the day, and then fast for the rest 16 to 18 hours. The best way I personally found to incorporate this in my daily life is to limit my meals to 2 meals a day rather than multiple small meals at multiple intervals. I eat breakfast at 9 a.m. and then my last meal is around 3 p.m. After that, I simply just have water or some soda water with apple cider vinegar for that tarty taste. Alright, let's do a quick recap. The main direct cause of heart disease is insulin resistance. The main cause of insulin resistance is a high sugar and high carb diet. 3 proven ways to avoid and reverse insulin resistance are: number 1, avoid sugar and refined carbs, especially at breakfast, but try to do it across all your meals. Number 2, eat your salads first, followed by your protein and your carbs last. And finally, number 3, eat all your meals before sunset and fast for the next 16 to 18 hours until your next meal. Now, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend or family member who needs help, and stay tuned for my upcoming videos on the science behind weight loss, diabetes, heart disease, and more.